Hello, this is Dr. Jen, the Intuitive Phoenix, here to talk to you about when fear can be a positive indicator, when it can mean that you are on the right track. Because there are different kinds of fear. There is fear of making a mistake. There is a fear of something in particular, like public speaking. There is fear associated, certainly here in the mountains of Western North Carolina, that there is a bear in the vicinity. There's fear of hope. There is fear that, that you're going to screw up. Hello, Ruth Ann. There is fear of not being perfect. And there can be fear too of really stepping into and being all that we can be and what that would actually look like. Fear of being our most powerful, badass selves. Now, and the reason I'm highlighting that there are different kinds of fear is because we don't always recognize it. We use fear and just the word fear when we talk about our daily lives, and it can mean very different things. Because there's also fear about what we don't know, what we haven't experienced, like uncharted territory. And it's that fear that can indicate that we are on the right track. And the reason I say it indicates we're on the right track is because it typically means we're stepping outside our comfort zone. And we all know the saying, life happens outside our comfort zone. And for those who have done it, they would agree with that statement in most cases. And there's also, certainly if we're running a small business, it often means that we have to take on responsibilities of things that we've never done before. Like I'm in the process of building an online course. There's some fear associated with it because technology is not something I feel really confident about, but I'm learning. So that to me is an indicator I'm on the right track because I'm called to share my work with more and more people in more ways to have a larger reach and a larger impact, a larger voice. There's also fear, again, indicating that we're on the right track, that it is a positive thing when somebody says to me, and this happened in a session, that they have spent so much of their life depressed that they did not know what it felt like to be happy for days at a time. So as that started to happen, the fear started to come up because they were waiting for the next shoe to drop, because that's what typically had happened in the past. And they weren't sure that they were prepared for that. So fear can be based on our past experiences or what could possibly happen in our life. And fear can also be those things that we're called to do, that we know it's time to do, that we're entering uncharted territory. So the uncharted territory fear for things we're called to do says to me, you're right on track. Now, how do you recognize the difference when it's just fear? And as many of us know, when we're in the midst of fear, well, our nervous system starts reacting. We tend to be in fight, flight, freeze mode. We're not really thinking clearly. It's a matter of stepping back and observing. It's a matter of essentially being a detective, but not a detective in the mind, a detective in the body of what am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? What's going on around me that is contributing to this fear? And being able to look at that objectively. Now, if you're in the midst of it, you may not be able to recognize that. It takes practice, or it takes the support of somebody like myself. I was able to, in this client session earlier today, highlight and reframe and walk her through these steps for her to come to the awareness that this fear was different, that she was experiencing. I didn't tell her that. She came to that. And it's because over the last couple of weeks, she's been observant. She's been attentive. She's been willing to ask herself questions as she's noticing those indicators that she's started to discover. Now, of course, if you're watching this and you've got questions, you've got comments, feel free to ask them. I'd love to hear them. I will respond to them because this is so important. This is so important because a lot of times what happens is people start to feel fear and they step back. They step back from what they were called to do or what they were going to try for the first time, and they just reinforce that fear versus stepping forward in what I refer to as being cautiously optimistic. So it's the step towards optimism. It's the step towards doing what you're called to do versus stepping back into fear based on past experiences. Does that make sense? Let me know if it does. Now, how do you start to become more observant, more attentive to what's going on, so you can discover what the indicators are for you? One is engage in activities that get you in your body. You got to get out of your head. People think they're going to figure it out. Well, if you could figure it out, you've heard the saying, if you could figure it out, you already would have figured it out. It's a matter of getting into your body so you can feel it, so you can recognize things in a different way, in a new perspective. So engage in activities. I call them my do-be activities, the things I do to be in my body, to be present, to be grounded, so that way I can have clarity. And you want to make sure you have enough space in your life, that you're not constantly putting information in your head. I know some people, as soon as they have a quiet moment, they're filling it with a podcast or TV or the radio or something else, an audiobook. There's constant information going in. If you don't have space, then your intuition can't speak to you. It can't share information with you that you can hear. Now, it may be sending you information. You just can't receive it because you've filled the space with so much stuff. And Ruth Ann says, yes, what I was saying makes perfect sense. Thank you, Ruth Ann. And she agrees, out of the head into the body. It's really important that we get into our bodies so that way we can be attentive and observant. Because once we're in a place to be attentive and observant, we'll start to recognize patterns. And we can recognize patterns easier when we're connected to our intuition. Our intuition, our subconscious mind, recognizes patterns before our conscious mind does. Super important. Okay, so 1, get in your body. Engage in activities that allow you to be in your body and get out of your head. Make sure you have space in your life, that you're not filling it every moment with something that you're doing or listening to, that there's like a constant bombardment of information, sensory overload. Yes, it means that you will start to recognize feelings. You may start to experience feelings. This is a good thing. Next, be observant. And as you observe and start collecting this information, recognizing these patterns, what do they indicate for you? And when you're recognizing the fear, what kind of fear is it? Is it fear of the past? Is it fear of particular objects? Or is it fear of what's new, what you haven't experienced yet? What is stepping outside your comfort zone in the direction of your purpose, of your calling? That's the fear that says, again, right on track. And there are steps that you can take to make moving forward easier. You can visualize. You can journal. Anything that will have you imagining, feeling, experiencing what you're moving into. It literally creates neural pathways that when we're actually taking those steps, it's easier for us to do, much like virtual reality. All right. I know this is a bit long. Well, actually, it said 11:11. I know it's a bit long. It's important stuff. If this is something that resonates with you, I want to know. Again, if you've got questions, let me know. And if you want someone who can support you confidently into stepping into the unknown, that's what I do. Shoot me a message, and we can see what that would look like for you. All right, I'm sending health and love and ease in your transformation until we connect again. I'll talk to you later. Bye.